These videos are not for children. Okay, I know I'm like 1 or 2 days late on this, but this week was the 2-year anniversary of episode 7 of Murder's Mass Destruction. Now, I wasn't around again for when the series originally premiered, but this episode went through development hell. 7-month wait, Dill Circus coming in and taking over the channel. As originally when Glitch started, Metal Runner and Sunset Paradise ruled the channel, which was spin-offs of SMG4, the main channel. Then Murder Jones took over the channel, but from during this episode period and nowadays, Dill Circus rules the channel, with the last episode of Murder Jones being kind of sidelined. But does this episode still hold up without all the other bullshit? Well, let's see. Also, by the way, I'm only going to focus on the main plot with Uzi in the end, so the stuff with Lizzie and Tad and Khan I'm not going to bring up. So, we saw with a flashback of Nori being experimented on and escaping her captivity. She then yeets this cross-thing at a worker named Mitchell, seemingly killing him. How the first stops and rewinds, revealing that Nori in present day is still alive, albeit heavily disfigured into being a core, which I think is because of a disassembly drone related attack. But either way, she's been separated from her family for years now. Back underground from the previous episode, Uzi, and Tessa landed after getting their ass kicked by an elevator. To which, side note, one important thing to bring up, Uzi coughs up blood when she awakens. I'm not exactly sure how the solver works, but her and Dole have the solver which grants them their superpowers. So my guess is that the solver makes them more and more organic over time, hence the blood instead of oil. And crashes out, and he tries to blow the rocks with his flamethrower arm. How during the crash out, he accidentally eats a rock and almost hits Uzi. He tries to apologize to her, but Tessa shuts his bitch ass up and keeps him away from Uzi because she's becoming more unstable. Uzi's solver powers go out of control, and she accidentally causes an avalanche, which gets her separated from N and Tessa. N gets hugged by this made monster version of V because they used to be worker drones before they got experimented on to disassembly drones, V and J being maids and being a butler. He has Vietnam flashbacks to him being tricked by Sin and helping destroy humanity, which we'll get to the original cause of that in a minute. He gets saved, however, and meets up with Nori, Uzi's mom. He's debating on telling Uzi that her mom is still alive, how Nori doesn't want Uzi to see her because her appearance, and because, well, you'll see why. Anyway, so Tessa wanders off and she gets attacked by wasted potential, doll, and we get this most bullshit scene. Tell me how a woman with psychic powers cannot detect a regular ass person being detected, bro. And despite this bullshit of her being nerfed, Tessa, well, what appears to be Tessa jumpscares doll, break her screen. And as for why Nori didn't want Uzi to find out about her, well, and the next scene, Uzi's having Vietnam flashbacks watching the security tapes, because it's revealed that Yenva, Doll's mom, and Nori, her mom, well, Nori was being possessed by Sin, and Yenva cut off her other arm to stop her from attacking. However, Sin controlling Nori used her other arm to use her solar powers, and when Yenva threw it into this hellish dimension called the Pit, it destroyed all of humanity. So yeah, Nori and Yenva are kinda the cause for humanity fucking dying, setting the series in motion. Also, side note, I really like Nori's design, it's really pretty. I guess it's just kinda like a bigger version of Uzi, but I don't know, just something about it I love. I don't know, maybe it's the different kind of shirt compared to the other characters. I don't know, I just really like Nori, I love the hair. So naturally after seeing this, Uzi starts going insane. How before she can do that, her sanity gets worse as Doll comes in dripping with blood, again instead of oil because organic, and she collapses dead in front of Uzi with her last words being "fight back." Tessa comes and prepares to kill Uzi, thinking that she did this to Doll. Uzi tries to attack her with her powers, but it doesn't detect her at all. En pulls up and saves Uzi by cutting out Tessa's throat because, again, if Uzi dies, he cannot get his dick wet. That's his number one concern. However, unfortunately for him, Uzi pins him to the wall, and her powers going out of control, the trauma of seeing this, and find out that her mom actually caused the death of humanity, as well as being controlled by Sin, turns her back into Silver Uzi. And it looks like she's going to kill En. However, En gets saved by Nori, and we get the best fight in the series. Look, I love the prom fight with Doll, but Silver Uzi is a whole different beast. I love evil versions of the main characters, whether it's Shadow like Sonic or Venom like Spider-Man. I loved stuff like this where the main character goes unhinged and turns evil. I see this a lot in the animation Sonic TADC. It's awesome seeing this here. However, Silver Uzi is apparently more stronger, and doesn't want to kill her because, again, if Uzi dies, he cannot get his dick wet. That is his number one priority. However, he ends up snitching to Nori that he's been fucking Uzi behind her back. Nori rightfully gets upset about this because this Samuel Jones calls her disfigurement, and she slaps Uzi. Uzi turns back to normal, however, she's still enraged by En letting her secret out of them fucking, so she just fucking yeets her mom, puts her ass, and then throws her into hell. We get this hilarious back and forth scene of En and Uzi just screaming to one another about how the girl she putted was actually her mom. It's just hilarious. And then they just end up hugging each other near Doll's dead body because Nori and Doll can just go fuck themselves. Like, bruh. I swear, I cannot make this shit up even if I try. That's literally just their number one priority. You find out that your mom doomed humankind. You end up going insane from it. Your rival / frenemy dies in front of you. You kick your own mom in a literal hell, going evil, and then literally the only thing you can do is confirming whether or not you're going to get laid. Right. This is a whole different breed of down bad. Speaking of being witch, Sin breaks up the moment. Well, actually, Tessa comes back and reveals herself to be Sin, wearing Tessa's dead body. Sin, if you're not familiar with the series, in episode 5, there was another third Maidro named Sinessa who was En's little sister. This is her now with superpowers wearing Tessa's dead body. Why Tessa's dead body? I don't know. I wasn't fond of the design, but I've grown to love it. Mainly because of the difference with it. It really reminds me of a symbiote from Spider-Man, so that's probably why I like it. So she attacks En and tries to whip out his core. Uzi does her off. She tries to drag them into hell. However, Jay from earlier dropped a key down there to her ship. Uzi grabs the key, yeets it to En. She blasts him to float back. And then Uzi sacrifices herself at the end, accepting her fate going to hell. However, she, instead of going to hell, wakes up in space, and that's where the finale starts. But I'll review the finale, so you're not getting a review on this. I love this episode, and it's not really a surprise. The wait was long, but it was worth it. Silver Uzi having one of the best fights in the series. Finally, Uzi reunites with her mom after all this time. I love this shot especially of En seeing how he fucked up humanity. Like, it is so gorgeous looking. The different shades of dark brown, the light to dark yellow and orange. I fucking love it. I hate what they do with Doll because Doll's already a character that doesn't get enough screen time. And so having her get killed like this, while I do love the jump scare of Sin while Doll's trying to scan the place with her one eye, at the same time, it's very, very disappointing considering that, like Jay, she doesn't come back, so that's really disappointing too. Yenva and Nori's designs, while good, I hate how we don't get to see them for that long. Like, seriously, these designs are good. Why are they so little? I hate the heart design. And another detail I like is Doll's dead body. Aside from the blood, the fact that you can see a ribcage inside of her is actually creepy. Again, I don't know how organic the Silver makes them, but I do like how it makes them more organic enough. And En's also adorable with him not wanting to kill Uzi because he loves her. This whole sequence However, was my favorite part aside from the fight, where Endo snitches that he's been fucking Uzi to Nori behind her back. This whole exchange with Uzi unknowingly throwing away her mom, and then just this random back and forth of and exposing to Uzi what's going on with Nori is just so hilarious. And then they just randomly start hugging, and Nori just goes to fuck herself, and then Sen just breaks in the moment because she's a hater. It's a perfect mix of drama and humor that we love. It's also a nice bit of door comedy. And it's also a nice way to reveal Sen, since Sen wasn't shown out before aside from the jump scare. And bringing this character back from a flashback in the previous episode with a heavily altered design, while some may say it's kind of a cop-out, I actually think it works for what it is. Not to mention, this episode leads to the finale, which I already talked about the finale. I don't think it's that bad. Seriously, it's extremely overhated. So overall, this is a fantastic episode. I love the cinematography. I love the humor. I hate what happened with Doll, but even then, that's more of a problem with the series in general than just this episode. May have taken 7 months, but it was worth the wait. You haven't seen Mass Destruction, I highly recommend you watch it. If not, at least for the visuals. I do think the 7 months was worth it. And I really hope later shows like Gaslight District and Knights of Guinevere do this. Because while yes, the wait period was crappy, honestly, if we have to wait a long time to get peak cinema like this, it's worth it. Because I say this time and time again, I'd rather wait a few weeks, maybe a month or two, and get something good than getting days worth of shit.